the topic for today is how do you find your niche? And one of the things, probably the biggest thing that is most undervalued in this space of content creation and streaming, is that idea of finding a niche. And I've had some very, very limited success, right, in this space. And there are people with way more success than me in this space. And so my goal is to say, okay, if you are a streamer or a content creator and you're on this side of me, I want you to get to where I am, so that then you can flower and flourish into whatever you want to be for the rest of your time content creation and streaming, if that makes sense. Because where I'm at right now is a very, very big turning point. My niche that I've kind of built my brand upon is Warzone tournaments. It's very specific. So we're going to talk through what that looks like, why you should find a niche, and how can you really do it, and where should you start. I think it's a great way to frame it as well. So I'm gonna pull up the notepad as per usual. First and foremost, you got to find a game. For me, it was Warzone. That might change in the future, and I'll talk about how you can expand outside of that game in the future potentially. But to start, my context is Warzone. Okay, so there are multiple different kind of like what I would say pathways in Warzone, right? You have your competitive players, content players. Competitive players and content players are really the main two avenues, but the third is something that I'm kind of in. We'll call it okay, I got it, because you have to. Competitive players, here's my 3 different streets. Tournament player, this example is Tommy, Aiden, Rated, whoever. I mean, you can put anybody on this list. Literally anybody. Booyah. These people are people that get their content from tournaments. Tommy specifically is one of my favorite examples of this. I mean, every day he's on, he's trying to find a tournament. He literally said that if I ran a tournament every single day, he would play in probably every single one. Like, he told me that, right? So like, I'm talking tournament players. This is what they do. This is what they live for. This is their favorite thing. Okay, so next side of competitive players is your high skill YouTubers and streamers. Okay, so your examples of these, right? These are the people you watch, not because they're playing tournaments all the time, right? And these guys and girls might play tournaments, but that's not their main thing, right? So the people that come to mind right here are Repulse, Teep, right? Swag, even. I mean, there's a lot of people in here. So what I mean by this, high skill YouTubers and streamers, these are the people you watch because they're entertaining, but also because they're high skilled, right? First, you found them from their skill, right? You go over to the Teep, you're like, okay, Teep played professionally, he commentated professionally, now he plays Warzone professionally, has played in a lot of tournaments, so has Swag's won a lot of tournaments, so has Repulse, so has Symphony. Used to play tournaments in the past, right? This is what they did. And so you found them maybe for their skill, but you stayed for their content and their personalities. But if you are going right, like if you're like, okay, new guns out on the market, big streamers have been playing with it for a day, whose stream are you going to go into and try to find their build, right? You're going to go to one of these people, maybe some of the tournament players as well. Certainly Aiden, Rated, Tommy, those people, they're obviously trying to optimize. But Repulse and Swag, specifically Swag, is making a YouTube video on the new meta every other day, right? These are the people that have taken their skill, right, and branched it into content. They've made their skill content. Okay, the last category of competitive players are the grinders. This is one of my favorite categories. This is the Frozone. This is the Bobby Puff. This is the other grinders that just go for leaderboards, right? Oh, I know. Here we go. Iron, OP marked. They're grinding for wins, right? It's pretty much the same thing. Wins, kills, all of that stuff. These people are grinders. Iron was like one of the more original examples of a grinder, right? Grinding leaderboards, became famous for grinding the leaderboard and getting up to the high kills, right? So they have taken their competitive player or their competitive skill level and made it to where I am trying to make it to the top of a leaderboard, That is my goal. And me making it to the top of the leaderboard will create a name for myself, right? And then once I create a name for myself, I can then make content around that. Does this make sense? So here's your competitive categories. I would say Bobby Puff actually might be the best example of this. He literally got famous because he would play this game so insanely much, right? Like during Blackout, that's what he did. He literally grinded and was top of every single leaderboard in Blackout. True grinder there in Bobby Puff. That's how they created their name, and then they make content off of their grind. Okay, so the next niche of Warzone is content players. These people are separated into a couple different categories as well. True content, what this means is you are doing, and we'll do kind of a subcategory here, private matches, right? You're doing funny challenges, you're doing you know, basically like what I will call clip farming for TikTok or other socials. There's a couple good examples of this, and they're very different from each other, but let me explain. Number one will be Legion. This dude is hilarious, right? Legion is a great example of this. He's gotten famous off of being hilarious, and he does play tournaments every once in a while, but he's a true content player. He literally changes his class every single game that he plays. He'll do viewer challenges, like game challenges and things like that, where he changes his loadout to freaking M62s, like AKs with the highest recoil, like all that stuff. He's a true content grinder when it comes to like, I'm just going to do anything that sounds interesting and funny and like a fun way to like keep the chat involved. Like he is going for content. He doesn't really care about the wins or the kills and anything like that when he's in this mode of true content. I think another great example of this, more recent example, more TikTok-y example, has been Jammins. I watched Ben's stream before, and Ben's stream is literally like, I'm gonna drop all of my ammo, all of my guns and everything, throw them on the ground, go prone underneath it, and hopefully assassinate somebody because they think I'm dead and they're looting my body. Like true content. You see what I'm saying? This is like nothing else matters. Jordy, right? He does the Sonic outfit. He's good at the game. Like these people don't have to be bad at the game to be a true content person, but they literally are going for content. That's what they do. Okay. All right. Next up, content player. Planned content. Planned content are the people that are streaming. For instance, I think I would be somewhat under this if I was not doing the whole like casting gig that I do. I would probably be under this category. These are the people that play, you know, stream every single day or stream most days. They've got, you know, great friends that they play with and create some good content by just being with their people, and which we'll get to in a moment. But they also will take time and dedicate time on stream to create planned content. So a great example of this is Mark Clark, right? Mark Clark will get on stream every single night and absolutely just ball out with his friends, which will go down to the next category. But he also spends extremely intensive time playing random fills so that he can give money to random people on the internet to make really good content and be a nice guy, right? This is the planned content approach. This is the, I'm going to do my normal stream. I'm also going to plan my content out in front of me and say, okay, this is when I need to record this and this and this. And I'll do those things on stream, but that's not my entire like brand, right? Like every single stream that Mark Clark does, he's not going out and playing random duos. Does that make sense? Whereas Legion, pretty much every single stream he does, he's trying to be funny and do all these funny challenges and all of that stuff, right? That's the difference between those two types of people. The reason I put these three people on there is they go out and they record these things, they grab them from their streams, all of that stuff. But again, their normal everyday stream is not the same as their TikTok. If you go to their TikTok page and watch some of their videos, you're like, oh, these are the type of content creators they are. But then you go to their streams and you're like, oh, this is where I just hang out and watch them. And they're not doing like all this stuff. Whereas if you go to Benjamin's TikTok, right, and it's all about him doing this weird stuff, he's grabbing the vehicles and jamming all over people, you're gonna go to a stream and get the exact same product. Okay, then the final one. This is entertainers. And this one is very different. And this is why I almost didn't put Nick Merckx in his category up here. But I remember his background as being competitive. So I'm gonna keep it down right there, okay? So entertainers, This category is the people that you watch on stream for their content, but their content is them just being entertaining with whoever they're playing with. You've got Tim, the Tap Man. Tim the Tab Man. You've got Cloak is kind of on the fence between high school YouTubers and streamers. Up here with Nick Merckx. He probably was found for his skill level, but I think he's close to being inside this. Nick Merckx has moved. What I was going to argue earlier is Nick Merckx has moved from the high skill down to the entertainers, but he was originally founded upon him being high skilled, so you know, it's give or take there, right? Courage could theoretically be in this category. Certainly the Doc. There is a ton of people in this category, and these are the entertainers. These are oftentimes the people that have maybe come from a different background. I mean, you can kind of dive into these people's backgrounds and maybe come up with a, oh, they used to be in this category, now they're in this category. I mean, Tim used to be in the competitive category. He used to be here. I wouldn't say he was doing YouTube, but he was a high skilled streamer. Certainly he was in Overwatch Grandmasters. He was in CSGO, you know, playing high level CSGO. I mean, he used to be up here, but he transitioned down to here. And this is, you know, Fall Guys Tim is like peak Tim, you know what I mean? I am entertaining, and they all have a brand. Their brand is centered around them being entertaining, but it's also like them being bad, or them being you know, wildly quote unquote disrespectful, or just like hostile, violence, speed, momentum, being really funny and making fun of themselves, being fat. I mean, whatever it is, this is right? Entertainers. Okay, the last category. Okay, the last one, because you have to. I like this name because I think it's a not a misnomer. It's kind of like a clickbaity name, right? The because you have to name. This is this category is me. I have found a niche. These are the people that have found a niche inside this a specific game, right? People that have found a niche inside a specific game that is not dependent on their oh, we're going too far off the page. Dependent on their streams, right? Again, we're talking about niche within streaming. People that have found a niche inside a specific game that is not dependent on their streams. This one is tough. And this is the one that I'm in. My niche within, you know, this whole sphere is casting, right? So you've got I'll call it shoutcasting for those uninitiated. Shoutcasting. I would never have to, like, I could never stream on my own channel and just be a shoutcaster and theoretically make a living shoutcasting tournaments, going live on other people's channels or other organization channels while I shoutcast. Because I'm going to use shoutcasting. I'll think of some other examples in a second. Shoutcasting, I shoutcast Warzone. So people that have maybe fallen in love with me or my brand or what I'm trying to do, or maybe have found me on these different tournaments and want to follow me on other things. When I go live on a stream, what do they expect? What do they know about me? That I am a caster, so I know the game well, that I cast, and that's it. They might think I'm funny, they might think I have really good calls or whatever, but the only thing they know about me is that I cast. And so if I am only casting Warzone, which is where I'm currently doing it, right? If I turn on Apex, who cares to watch a Call of Duty Warzone caster play Apex? Yes, that kind of sounds like a clickbaity title, but no one really cares about that. You know what I mean? Like, if I built a community, like I could turn on Apex, and I'm sure some of you guys would come in and be like, oh, Gojj is playing Apex, I'll be interested to see how he does, blah 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 blah. But for the newbie, right, this is all about kind of expanding your growth, your viewership, everything like that. For a newbie, if I shoutcast Warzone and they've only watched me do tournaments before, all they want to do is watch me shoutcast or play specifically that game and see how I do in that game. So I basically, because I have to play Warzone now, I love Warzone. I'm kind of trying to work my way into some of these other categories, entertainers, playing content, maybe even true content sometimes. I'm definitely not up in the high skill or the grinder or tournament player side, but obviously, like, I'm trying to get better, and I think that's important when you're making content if I'm not just going true content. We've got shoutcasters, we've got tournament organizers. Let's go with news people. So these are the people on TikTok that make their video. Like, I did one the other day, right? We did an update one. So this is it, right? These are the different kind of niches you can get within Warzone, and we can get even more specific on these, but I think these are really good examples to help kind of frame your conversations. You can have these exact same categories, main highways, these different alleyways in each of these different categories in any game. You just got to go find them, right? And every game might be slightly different. Maybe down here there's like one different main pathway you could take, but overall this is kind of how you should frame your conversations and inside of your own head of like, how do I want to continue to grow my streaming world, not just YouTube and all that stuff and TikTok. It's a whole nother conversation, but specifically streaming. What should I do to continue to grow in the streaming world? It's all about finding your niche, isn't it? So if our goal is to find our niche, I am just breaking down Warzone right now. Yes, this can apply to other places, but right now I'm only talking, Wildcat maybe is outside of Warzone, but I'm only talking about Warzone people right now because this is how you should be thinking. You should first find a game you enjoy. So you found the game already. This is a little bit down into your processes. You found your game, and we're doing all this within the context of Warzone, and you're now breaking yourself into a competitive player, content player, or the last one because you have to. This sounds negative. It's not. And I'm breaking it down this way because you as a streamer, and I'm talking as the general you, not people in the chat or people on the YouTube, but you as a streamer should decide, if you're trying to make this more than just a simple hobby that you do for fun or do it with friends or whatever to watch VODs, what is my niche within the certain games that I like to play? Because if you are floating between these different categories, you're not going to be as successful. You want to hammer down into your niche. So if you are in between maybe the entertainer and the planned content creator, just pick one, right? These people, like, I would say Lucci, you could argue is somewhere in between in the sense of like, oh, he entertains but just streaming. But like these people down here, right? They don't make any of the content. They get on the stream and stream now because they've already made it. You can't really start here, really, unless you make a series of content around you being entertaining with your friends or this type of things you do, and you can blow up on some of those social medias, and you can certainly try to do that. I know it's harder, but this one is probably the easiest to start in. Do your normal streams where you're just having fun with friends, but really focus on planned content where you spend the time on that stream saying, okay, I'm going to run this TikTok gun, and I'm gonna make this new meta, and I'm gonna post it on TikTok and see if we can get some views and likes and stuff, or I'm going to play random fills, everything like that, right? Everybody has like different niches you need to be in here, and if you're not that good at the game, maybe this true content approach is a good idea. I'm gonna go for funny clips, and that's all I care about. I'm clip farming for TikTok every single stream that I do. That's the reason I stream. Or I'm really good at the game, so I gotta decide, do I want to grind leaderboards? Do I want to become like a face for high skill that I can make content around, make YouTube videos around, and be like a one of the people that people come into the chat for the first time and they go exclamation point M4 exclamation point sniper, whatever. Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed it.